Hey, everybody. Welcome to our next episode of Alan Marr Designs podcast show. Um, this is basically a part two of what we just discussed. Um, we're talking about VIOME, VIOME. Now, like I said in the previous podcast, I just sent off my kit and I'm waiting for it to be analyzed and the results sent back, and my vitamins and my probiotics and all that type of stuff, as well as my diet plan. Now, for a lot of people, they don't really realize what Viome is, okay? Besides that, it does gut health, it handles brain health and mood, it helps health, aging, and longevity, metabolic health and weight, women's health, plus, as I said in the video, heart health. And everything about it is designed specifically for you. So when my numbers come out in the testing, since they're basically looking at me from head to toe, they will be able to tell me what kind of bacteria that's in my mouth, if it's good or bad. Am I leaching bad bacteria into? Everyone is familiar with leaky gut syndrome, right? It's bad bacteria that gets into the bloodstream and causes a whole bunch of illnesses. Well, you can also do that from gums. I'll give you an example. Let's say you brush your teeth and your gums bleed. Now, mine don't, but let's say that they did. Okay. Well, the bad bacteria that's in my mouth, if it's in the form of plaque or whatever, it would get into the bloodstream, go into my body, and that could be one source of illness. So they go and they design certain types of mouthwash based on the bacteria that are in your mouth, specific types of toothpaste. I'm not going that crazy with it. I'm mostly taking a look at the gut health. I want to basically deal with the bloat. I need to lose some weight. I need to lose a lot of weight. And I have the heart condition. And those are my main concerns. Now, if I can be taught how to eat better, because as I told Andrew, I'm a red meat guy. I've been brought up on eating red meat. I don't eat red meat 5 days a week, but I do eat meat 5 days a week. And I'm not a big fish guy, unless it comes in a shell, which I don't eat often because of the cholesterol. But I do. Well, let's see. You're gonna sit back and say, "Oh my God, it's surprising he's still alive," knowing what I know about my father and my uncles and my mother's father, all that fun stuff. You understand? I used to have a different lifestyle, and that lifestyle, I just didn't give a shit if I lived or died before the age of 80. And when you're 25, you can have that mindset. I'm invincible. But now that I'm 56 years old, I kind of mind if I die before the age of 80. And have done a lot of damage to my body. Not having the gallbladder was a major fuck up for me, because the moment they took it out, I had no way of controlling my weight whatsoever. I had no way of controlling the acid in my stomach. So usually, as you all know, the acid goes into the gallbladder duct, and that's how your body regulates it. Well, if you don't have one, all that acid wants to shoot up through you, and you hear about acid reflux. Well, I experience that every single day, so I'm on a prescription of an acid suppressant, um, kind of like Zyrtec, so that's I've been taking one of those for the longest of time, since the surgery, absolutely. And let me tell you, not being able to regulate certain acids in your stomach is another way that your body doesn't break the food down properly, so it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. But at the same time, you gain weight like nobody's business. And I can honestly tell you, the last 6 months, I just haven't felt great. I've felt like shit, and I didn't even think to do something like this here, and it was really one of my dear friends, Rose. She's been doing this, and she basically said that it's a good thing, and I trust her. and so I'm giving it a shot. But the whole process of doing it was, like for me, like I'm a vitamin guy, and I've been popping vitamins ever since I've been in my mid 20s. And as you get through the vitamins, you go from the centrums and to this to that to the balance of natures, which I still think is one of the best all natural supplement that you can buy. Um, but as I'm going to find out with this test, all the promises of being on balance of nature for me personally just didn't happen. And I just keep gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight, and I'm not feeling good, and it bothers my breathing, and then I get chest pains, and then all this other stuff, and you know, then we move here, and now I have COPD that I never fucking had in my entire life. Never had asthma in my entire life until we moved here. So, things start to go downhill kind of quickly. So how do you get off of the inhalers? Well, you can suffer, which I did do for a while, or you can figure out what your triggers are. Well, some of my triggers are the asthma is allergy related. Um, I'll give you an example. We have evergreens all around the area. In certain temperatures, an evergreen will give off its fragrance, right? Um, Now it doesn't do it at today. Today it's 103 degrees outside, so it isn't doing it today. But when it's 68 degrees outside to 75, it's very fragrant, and it gives it off in certain times of the day, which is in the morning and then in the late afternoon into the early evening. And when it does that, the fragrance that it puts out shuts my lungs down completely. Not in 20 minutes, in 5 minutes. Next, a problem. I'm highly allergic to Bermuda grass. Every single property in the area has got Bermuda grass because there's a local sod guy that's down the street. I wanted to put in Kentucky blue. Why? Because it's the one grass I'm not allergic to. Couldn't get it to save our lives. Um, and then everyone told us you can't get it to grow here, you can't do this, can't do that. So you go with all that kind of stuff. That's only part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that a couple miles outside of town are Farmer Row. So you have Farmer Joe, Farmer Tom, Farmer Tim, Farmer Jim, Farmer Do, Farmer Dick on both sides of the highway. And I know what I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna say, "Oh no, that they don't do that." Of course they don't. I absolutely do this because they'll tell you outright when you have a conversation with them, this is what they do, and they'll recommend it for your property when you're trying to deal with the weeds and so forth. They use Roundup. The farmers here use Roundup on the crops to get rid of the weeds. And when the crop is over with, they burn the crop, creating a whole bunch of carbon, put it back into the soil, and so forth. Well, if you spray Roundup on your crop and all over the ground, when you go to burn it, they create basically an inferno that comes from his field all the way down into fucking town. So now you're not only breathing in burnt, alfalfa and cotton and all other crap that they grow here, but all of that Roundup and all the other herbicides that they spray on the crops go into your lungs. There lies the COPD. The whole area's got emphysema and different types of lung respiratory problems. The whole area. It's pretty crazy. I've never seen that so many asthmatics in a small cluster of people, but it is what it is. So you go through all these different things. I'll give you another example. I had all that going in, and then it's COVID time, right? So you go and you get, like everybody else, you go and get the first round of jab until you say, oh, maybe I shouldn't get the second round of jab. I got the Moderna shot, so I got one and I got two, and I never went back ever to fuck again. Within 6 months, I had cancer popping out all over my body. Now, I was lucky it was a skin cancer, um, but I had it all over the place. And I can honestly tell you, ever since that time, I have been getting sicker and sicker and sicker in 6 month intervals. Um, so here I am now. I have shortness of breath. I'm going through chest pains, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes not every day, sometimes it's every other day. Um, I go to the doctor, I get on the treadmill, I do the tests, I let them fucking put the dye into me, only to discover that there's nothing wrong with you. Yes, that means there's nothing wrong with me when I'm on the treadmill. They could not induce a heart attack when I'm on the goddamn treadmill. That doesn't necessarily mean that I did not experience and so forth. So then I get earlier this year, I get diagnosed with basically an enlarged heart. And I'm going, well, what the hell, what causes an enlarged heart? Well, because of the COPD, it's not uncommon that I'm sucking on some form of barbital. Well, guess what is, one of the number one symptoms of sucking that down? It swells the heart. Mine was so enlarged that it was pressing against chest cavity and so forth. But they really wanted to, instead of putting me on medication, because the rest of my numbers looked pretty good and my blood pressure looked good and all fun stuff. They wanted to see if I could regulate it with diet, which I have been doing. I just had a checkup for last month. It's not as bad as it was back in February, but it still ain't great. So here I am now. This is other issues for an enlarged heart, as people know, is bacterial. So that's where I am. Let's go and test my stomach lining and see what the good and the bad bacteria is. Now, the reason I brought up the COVID shot is, besides all the other crap I was dealing with it, um, the COVID shot, everyone talks about how the COVID shot altered the DNA. And to an extent, that is true. But mostly it altered your RNA. And that is why I'm so pleased with this test, because that is exactly what they look at. A lot of the other tests that are like this only look at the DNA, and it's great, but it only gives you 1/3 of the picture, where the RNA pretty much gives you almost 90% of the picture. So here we are. Uh, I get the test in the other day. What is today? Today's Thursday, Monday. So Monday I send out my stool and my blood work, and you have to do a saliva test. Boom. They give you a questionnaire that's basically like having a conversation with a normal doctor. They want to know your entire family history. Um, is there any heart disease on this side or that side? This cousin, that cousin, etc., etc. And you go through it, and it's literally several pages of text that you have to go through, and be honest with it, because what good does it do? Oh yeah, I don't have heart disease. Yeah, thud. Pick them up. Don't bullshit the test people. That's the way I look at it. So we're going to start this now. They tell you initially that it takes 3 to 4 weeks from the time that you submit it, because it actually goes out to a special lab, and then from there, the way that they do the vitamins and the probiotic prebiotic mixes is that they literally, everything is designed specifically for you. So if I need, let's say there's 170 items that go into the vitamin, and maybe I only need 32 of them, they stop the production line down, do mine specific, and then and so forth. Now, one of the things that I will say that came with the kit is that they give you a 30-day um, it's a probiotic um, capsule, and unlike things that you buy in the store. This is a double line capsule, so it almost looks like to me that are you familiar with the company called Seed? They do the double caps probiotics. It almost looks like that, and so you take that for 30 days and so forth. And it's like, I was telling Andrew, I've been on antibiotics um, the last several months. It's not unheard of a guy that suffers COPD that you have to go on. When certain things are not working for you, they do put you on prednisone, and it's not uncommon for me to be on prednisone 3 to 4 times a year for emergency case reasons. Matter of fact, I have almost my own pharmacy of prednisone, so I know what to take for how long to take it for, and all I got to do is call it in. So, you know, but I think the pill, this pill here is really more meant for like I said, it's to help start the gut lining, but it's to help deal with bloat. And that's they go after the bloat first, and it's like they tell you, it's unlike where you go and you get something that says, well, our bloat pills work in 3 days, 3 to 5 days. Bloat can take up to 3 months to really to do something with it and get rid of it properly and so forth. So they kind of let you know all that stuff. Don't expect anything to happen within the first couple of days. It's not worth it. It's just it's almost like talking to a millennial, right? Oh yeah, we can get rid of the police force, and we get rid of this, and we can get rid of that, and we get rid of this. Yeah, until one of you get murdered. Okay, and that puts a stop to that shit, don't it? You always listen to these politics, like New York and stuff like, oh yeah, we want to get rid of the goddamn, we want to let everybody out of prison. That's because for the last 40 fucking years, New York State has been trying to close Rikers Island. Yeah, they just don't want to pay for it anymore. You say, well, people are paying property taxes. What do you mean you don't want to pay for it? Well, back when we started bitching about it, local politicians make $48,000 a year. Now they make $160,000 a year. That's expensive shit there, doing my salary for only working fucking 4 months a year. You know what I mean? But so right now I'm in step 2 of the VIOME process, which is basically send and analyze. Right? Step 1 is to order the kit, collect your samples, then you send it in, they go and they analyze. That's where I'm at right now. Waiting on step 3, which is they're going to come out with a diet and say, listen, you can eat these foods, but you can't eat those foods. Um, these are your controlled supplements every day. Take this package or however they give it to you, and that's it. And oh, by the way, here's your biotics. Okay, I believe it comes in a drink. I don't think it's in a capsule. I hope it's in a capsule. I really do, but it wouldn't surprise me that it's in some kind of packet that I have to mix up with something, which is, ugh. Do you ever drink probiotics? Ugh, just ugh. So, and then once you start the program, about 6 months later they retest you. Okay, that way there, it's a way to kind of like tweak, what you're doing kind of get you in line. So you already understand that it's not going to take 6 months to figure out what the fuck's wrong with you. It may not even take a year. It may take closer to 18 months to 24 months until you get things tweaked just right. And what got me thinking about this, besides Rose, I recommended it, is I do this kind of stuff for other things, right? I talk about my dogs all the time. My dogs get blood labs done every 3 months. Every 3 months, I deal with a nutritionist and we tweak their diet. Okay, we're going to give them extra mushrooms and cinnamon this week to deal with their protein, the urine protein, creatine ratio, and drop that a little bit. Or we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And for me, that's normal way of thinking. I send in a water sample test and I have ICP testing done on my aquariums every 30 days. And then they send me based off of those results, they send me custom trace element bottles to go and deal with everything that I do between the corals, the fish, and the macroalgae that I grow as a way to do a natural environment instead of stripping it out. I don't like using protein skimmers and stuff like that because it strips your water. Everything that you want in the water, like the bacteria, the good stuff, um, it strips them out. So you're constantly re-buying all this stuff every single month. So I do that to make sure that everything is in a healthy environment, and it works fantastic. Why not do that for myself? I never even thought to do this before, and I know what kind of business I get it, I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm an electrical guy. I'm not a health guy. Like Andrew was talking all these different things. I have no idea what he's talking about. I know Dr. Gundry. Yes, I've seen the infomercials. I know he sells olive oil. That's about all I know. I know he doesn't like lectins. I couldn't tell you what a lectin was. Okay, I really can't. Outside of tomatoes and beans, I can't tell you anything more than that. It's just not something that's part of my everyday. It's like somebody saying to me, I have this problem, Alan, and I need an electrical fix for it. I wouldn't expect them to know how to do it. That's why they're asking me. For me, I don't know how to fix what I obviously have screwed up, and I'm reaching out to a company and see if they can give me a hand. And that's where we are. I've had a lot of my friends over the years try to self-diagnose themselves, and they read this website and they follow this doctor and they talk to that doctor, and the next thing you know, they have stripped their entire system, and it takes them the next 4 or 5 years to rebuild back up what they stripped out and hurt and one of my close friends did that. They wound up stripping all the minerals out of their body to the point where they were literally sickly. You either did something or you died. It was that type of situation, and it took them 4 years to come back from that. And I know I'm in that realm, not quite like that. I'm probably 4 years away from a fucking heart attack instead of doing that. Then what I'm trying to do is avoid that. I am a grandfather now, and even though I joke about my daughter, you know, you know what I mean. Uh, but I would like to be 80 years old and watching my granddaughter graduate. Wouldn't that be a nice thing? Instead of being dead by 60. And what scares the shit out of me is that all the men in my family have all died between 70 and 73, 74 years of age. So they don't make it to 80 years old. There are a couple that are at there, and they have their own health issues, but a majority of them did not. Now, my father, you know, my father was a sweet tooth guy. Candy, 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 steak, 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 pizza, 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 McDonald's ice cream cone. That was my father. And, he wasn't too bad when he still lived in Jersey, but after he moved down here, oh, Christ almighty. I mean, he would go and buy, bags, big, large, fucking Halloween sized candy bags of candy, and in one sitting, eat it all. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, I tell you a story. Him and I argued for the last year of his life. Get your ass to a fucking doctor. I'm screaming at my mother. Make him go to the doctors. And it was obvious to anybody you talked to that this man was suffering a heart condition, and he could not accept it. Just refused. So it had to be something else. It had to be a sports injury. It could not be, you know. And sure as shit, he gets the fucking Moderna shots, and within 3 weeks of gone, he had a clot, and it killed him. right outside my fucking front door. I wasn't here. Why? Because I was getting my fucking jab. I was down in Clarksdale when it happened. Had him come over to pick up some mail. I had a package that was coming in from overseas. Parts I couldn't afford to not get it because you can't leave the mail out here at the door because they'll fucking walk up on your property and steal it. So I asked him, "Would you mind collecting and bringing it in the house?" I was on the phone with him after I knew that DHL dropped off the package. I sent him. He said, "I'll give you a call back in 5 minutes. Go out and get it. I'll let you know I got it." And I never heard from him again. He literally went outside, didn't see the package. The guy left it in front of the garage door instead of over by the side door, which is all of 3 feet. But my father couldn't see that stuff. And he walks around the front of the house, and the next thing you know, he just collapsed. Fucking blood clot. My grandfather also died of a heart issue. My father's brother, well, he drank like a fish, but heart issue. But he drank like a fish, smoked like a chimney, right to the end. It is what it is. Me, I quit smoking when I was 25 years old. I haven't smoked since. I do drugs in the sense that I take medication when I'm told to take medication. I don't take any other form of drugs. I don't drink. I pretty much stopped drinking when I was in my 20s. I have an occasional drink here or there, to kind of deal with the evening, but I'm not. It's not something I do. I could count on one hand how many drinks I have a year. It's one of those types of things. Um, but for me, it's always been the weight gain, and I just can't do nothing about it. So I'm hoping this works because I'll be honest with you, nothing else has. Everything that is, and I've tried it all. I've tried the different diets. I've done Atkins. I did South Beach. I actually liked the South Beach diet, and I lost weight on the South Beach diet. I got to the point where I plateaued in the diet, and then I shot right back up. I didn't do anything different. I was still on the diet, doing it like I was supposed to, and I just started to gain. I'd come down, and I would just gain weight again. And it's always been that yo-yo effect, and I was good until I was about 50. And I go on a diet, or I would go I go in the gym and I work out, and drop 20 to 35, 40 pounds, and that'd be great. I'd be doing that for a while, and I'm still watching what I'm eating. I'm still working out, and all of a sudden I just start gaining weight again, and I gained back more than I took off. And I'll be honest with you, I weighed myself the other day. I was 283 fucking pounds, and I'll tell you, I feel it. Like I said, I have shortness of breath. My fucking joints hurt, my knees, my ankles. And, I got the acid reflux every freaking night, no matter what I fucking do. And I'm not eating a lot of food. I keep it to, between 1,400 and 1,500 calories. So I'm not even eating anything for a guy my size. And that doesn't seem to matter. You know, I try to eat clean food. All of my meats are all clean. Nothing has been hormone shot. Or I get them all from rancher farms. I use good ranchers for my meats. I get my chicken and my beef and my pork that way. Um, you know, because some of the things that we talk about when it comes to beef, there's a difference between beef that you buy in the grocery store and grass fed beef, right? Grass fed beef have a higher level of B's, which are technically makes it more healthier to eat the meat than. So a lot of times when we sit there and say, well, you can't have meat every single day. Well, not every single day, but you can have it, once or twice a week, as long as, it's you're not giving a concrete cow and all other shit that they do. All these different hormones they inject these poor animals with. So, it's always that thing. Well, you are what you eat. Like down here, it's Church's Chicken is a popular eatery in the local area. And like I said, I weighed in. I was 283 the other day. I'm small. I'm 6 foot even, 283, and I'm small in comparison to a lot of other people around here that are, you know, 375, 400, 425. I mean, some of these women that are here, I mean, they're one cheek of their ass, and I don't say this to be rude, but one cheek of their ass is wider than me completely. You know what I mean? So, it's when you take a measure, it's like 3 feet wide. It's one of those types of deals, and that's a dime a dozen down here. I don't know how these people live. I understand eating healthy and trying to get these people off of these diets and so forth in order to lower our medical expense. I'm trying myself. You know, I just don't ever ask the taxpayer to pick up the dime to do it. I use my own means. But like I said, I'm looking forward to doing this. And my wife, God bless her, she's doing it with me. And so out of pocket expense, but I am doing the full body one. It was 400 a person, and then it's like 120 for each person's vitamins. So I know that sounds expensive up front, but I'll give you an example. Um, Both Jen and I get Balance in Nature. It's $70 a month each, so that's 140. Then our CoQ10s and our probiotics and some other um, vitamins I get from Lumen Nutrition, and that was an extra $275 a month. So when you take a look at what I was spending just on those two sections of products, this is actually cheaper. Don't get me wrong, the test, you got to do the test every 6 months, but the test is a one-time shot, and then it's 119 a month for the supplements and the probiotics. So for me, it was, it's about 2/3 of what I was spending normally on a program that I couldn't honestly tell you, besides reading the captions on the websites, why I was taking the stuff. I just don't know. What I can tell you is that I was taking A, B, C, and D, and I didn't see shit happen. And I've been taking it for 2, 3 years. I was on Balance in Nature. I've been on Balance in Nature for 7 years, and I know when I have my blood labs done that my blood labs are pretty decent. I've been on Super Beats for the last 7, 8 years, and I have picture perfect blood pressure. Those things are doing something. When I was taking saffron, I couldn't tell you if that was doing anything for me. Um, the vitamin C's, that are for cardiovascular and so forth, I can't honestly tell you. The coenzyme Q10, yes, that's absolutely doing something for me. But the probiotics, absolutely not. Because everything that they claim is supposed to happen, and I've been on for years, nothing. And I've tried all different types, but the last one I was on for about 5 years, and nothing. I just keep throwing my money down the drain. Certain things I stopped taking about 3 months ago, and I'll be honest with you, I don't feel any different today than I did 3 months ago when I stopped taking them. So that's where I am now. So I'm going to basically report with you um, as time goes on and kind of see, does this work? Does this not work? I'm committed for the minimum of the next year. I want to see something in the next year happen in order to keep me on it. Did I lose 20 pounds? Something as simple as that will have me stay on it. So we'll just have to see. but I'm committed to do a year with you, and we'll see what happens with it. So, as I always like to say up front and so forth, um, we'll discuss more about this when the test results come back in. So, in the meantime, please like and subscribe. I can't, I don't mind doing this from week to week. I just would appreciate it if I got a little love back, just a little love, love, and like and subscribe and share with your friends. And you know, I hope you're enjoying both shows. We're trying to keep it really different and fun and witty at times. I apologize for not being able to really throw some zingers at you right now, but um, I've been up now for about 30 hours. And I'm just exhausted, and so I'm gonna get off this. I'm gonna eat dinner and I'm gonna drop. So anyway, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching us, and take care. Talk to you next week.